Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to Overtime. This is Maricel Casino Rivera, and it's another Monday episode for Overtime. Let me welcome first Attorney Oscar Oca Moreno, sir.
Hi, Sel. Salamat. Good afternoon and good afternoon, everyone. Maayong hapon. And it's another episode of Overtime. And of course, we're very, very fortunate this afternoon. We're going to explore the journey of government investment banking and government development agenda. No? And we have no less than the general manager of one of not to sell. This company has been in place for quite some time, even in the 60s and earlier than that. No? And very crucial player in the field of investment banking, at least insofar as the government is concerned. Sel, please do the honor of introducing our special guest.
Yes, thank you, Attorney. And our guest this afternoon is assumed the position of General Manager at the National Development Company in 2022. He's tasked with overseeing equity investment, financing, asset management, fund management, and support services at the ISO certified NDC, where he operates as the premier government corporate vehicle for development projects. Positioned as Undersecretary in the Philippines, he reports directly to the Department of Trade and Industry Secretary, who also chairs the NDC Board of Directors. He holds the role of board member at the Philippine International Trading Corporation, the government's official procurement and trading agency. He also serves as chairman and president at LIDE Management Corporation, entrusted with managing the 425-hectare Leyte Industrial Development Estate. His mission centers on leveraging his analytical skills, strategic insights, and management consulting expertise to advance the economic development and social welfare of the Philippines. He's a product of the Ateneo de Manila University, where he finished his secondary, regular and general high school and secondary diploma program. He also finished his Bachelor of Science in Business Administration at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. He also finished Master of Science on Computational Finance at the De La Salle University Graduate School of Business. He also earned a certificate course on the executive program in digital leadership at the Singapore Management University. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Yusek Antonilo Anton Mauricio. Good afternoon po, sir. Welcome to Overtime.
Good afternoon, Marisa. Good afternoon, Oka.
Good afternoon. Salamat po, Anton, if I may call you that. No? Salamat for accepting our invitation. Now, prior to being appointed National Development Company Managing Director, you've been involved in many companies, and most of them were focused on finance. No? And it seems to me you were really recruited by the government to handle National Development Company in October of last year. How did you take that appointment, Anton?
Thank you, Oka. So, yes, I started my career in marketing and became an investment banker and stockbroker back in the day, in the mid-90s. After I set up international ratings agency, a credit ratings agency in the Philippines, I had met now Secretary Fred Pascual, who's now with the Asian Development Bank. I mean, at the time, he was with the Asian Development Bank. And I remember we were 30 people in a room discussing how to recover from the financial crisis back in late 2000, I think. And we were the only two Filipinos in the room, Fred Pascual and myself. And after that, we became colleagues in the Financial Executives Institute of the Philippines, or FINEX, where I was the most active member for 18 years, and I was on the board for 8 terms, no? And I founded the Finance Educators Association, which is the largest finance teachers association in the Philippines. And we invited Fred Pascual back in 2021. He was in between coming from University of the Philippines president, and he was not yet appointed to the Secretary of Trade position. So I invited him, being a finance educator himself, no, to speak to my finance teachers. And that's where we got to know each other much better because, before he went on to speak, and at the time it was Zoom because pandemic, no? 2021.
Pandemic.
Oo. That was the longest time I spoke to him on the phone. No? He talked about his journey. We talked for over an hour. And basically, we got to know each other better. Now, when President Marcos got elected, Sec Pascual did not campaign for President Marcos, and neither did I. Although I voted for him. But the thing is, they were having a hard time to get somebody to head NDC. As you know, Oka, medyo mahirap kumuha lang ng basta abogado na kailangan medyo may corporate finance, may investment background. And nobody will, you cannot get anybody with that kind of background unless medyo sacrifice na. Kasi why NDC? Yung mga katulad ng background ko, gusto nila Undersecretary of Finance o Finance Secretary o dun sa BSP o sa DBP, di ba? Monetary Board. Yan yung gusto nila. Di ba? If you can give it to them, they'll just stay in the private sector. However, I am a financial literacy advocate, a finance education advocate, and basically I felt that it was my time to serve. And so nung nahirapan sila maghanap sa NDC ng bagay sa posisyon, basically I got a call from the office of Sec Fred, and then eventually Fred and I talked, and he said, pwede ka ba? Sabi ko, oo, pero may mga consulting ako. Paano ba yan? Well, this is a full-time job. Sabi ko, can I have a couple of months to wind down my may mga kliyente ako. Sabi niya, okay, sige. Pero full-time to. And mali pala yung sinabi niya, hindi pala full-time. More than full-time.
Yeah.
My first 6 months, I was sleeping in the office. No? Kasi wala silang general manager for 8 months. Kasi retired yung predecessor ko. And so yung mga pipirma, hindi pwedeng OIC lang o acting. Kailangan GM talaga according to their rules, no? So maraming natenga na mga kailangan gawin. And of course, since then, I've been embarking on a streamlining and capacity building.
Yeah.
And masyadong powerful yung charter ng NDC, but we know that our role now is just small relative to the other government finance institutions, and we are trying to play that role as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, ang National Development Company was established way back in 1919. No?
Yes.
During the American era, and precisely it was established to be the investment arm, the investment company of the government, no, the country, and so it's also. And does it have quasi banking functions, or the resources of NDC are all do they all emanate from the national government by way of equity or borrowing?
Okay, so NDC is a non-bank GFI. So basically, that's our classification. Primarily, we are investors in the form of equity.
Yes.
So basically, there is a company, kailangan ng valuation, and then we buy shares into the company. That is the first activity of NDC. We can also go into project financing. Not Hindi kailangang incorporated, pwedeng unincorporated joint venture, pwedeng PPP, and put money in that as a shareholder of the project. We can also issue bonds, no? Because yun ang issuance namin ng bonds is yun yung pinaka debt financing natin.
Yes.
But normally we don't lend out money. We normally invest in financial instruments. Again, we can issue our own financial instrument as well. So, yun yung forms of financing that we are offering a project or a company in the form of equity. No? Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, so ang sourcing ng pera sa NDC is borrowing and equity from the national government. Walang quasi banking, yung tinatawag na deposit substitutes, wala noon, no? So pure borrowing lang or arranging. It doesn't have to be the investor itself. Siya nag-arrange. That's usually what investment banks do. Pero pwede rin siya mag-invest, no? Pero yung investment niya is sourced from borrowings that NDC obtains, generally from bonds that you have issued. I remember when I was a member of Congress, USEC, merong in-issue na ERAP bonds noon, no? Mga 1999 or 2000, no? And may capacity ang NDC, it's authorized by the charter to issue bonds, no? And these bonds do enjoy some benefits, no, under the law because of the charter of NDC. So principally, is that the source of the funding of NDC? Bonds and borrowings. Ang bonds are issued to the public generally, and then borrowings are essentially institutional lenders, no? Is my understanding correct, Anton?
Yes, in a manner of speaking, but as regards to the use of funds of NDC at the moment, we are not regular recipients of Philippine government money through the GAA or the General Appropriations Act. So basically, we do not receive any money from the government. The money and the cash that we have are our own. So basically, this is from previous transactions and projects.
Okay.
And unless there is a special allocation or intention of the government, such as the ERAP bonds at the time. No?
Yeah.
But basically, when we issued that was our liability. We had to pay for it. No? It's supposedly the project will pay for it, but it didn't happen that way. So that's the difference, no? So the structure right now is a bit there's something wrong with the structure because we're expected to receive money from we're not receiving money from the GAA, but we're expected to fund projects, and then the revenues from the project, since we are GOCC, are 50% of the income is given back to the national government. So some GOCCs get money from the government through GAA, but we do not, and yet all our revenue say 50% of our revenue are given back to the national government. Plus we are taxed all regular taxes. Wala kaming business activity na hindi tinatax, no? We're not tax exempt. So as you can see, this kind of system is not sustainable. So what I have been trying to do with great difficulty is to navigate on how to move forward with sustainability of NDC, which goes back to the use of the NDC first, no?
Yeah.
Use by yung NDC sa government.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
answer to that, simply put, is as long as the government is not efficient, there will always be a use of the NDC because of how powerful our charter is. What do I
Yeah.
mean? Because of the 3-year term, 6-year term of elected officials of government, because napapalitan yung executives, no, ng government, secretaries, undersecretaries, cabinet secretaries. Napapalitan sila. That is directly impacting the projects that the government approves and sustains. Kasi iniiba-iba yung
Yeah.
tao, nag-iiba-iba yung project. Kapag hindi na gusto ng administrasyon na sumunod,
Yeah.
natitigil yung project. So that's where NDC comes in.
Yeah.
NDC comes in kapag hindi magawa yung project for some reason because of maybe this inefficiency. Another inefficiency is our procurement law. No? We follow the procurement law ourselves, pero mas nahihirapan ang government agency, let's say Department of ICT or Department of Tourism. 'Di ba? May issue sa kanila kasi hindi naman nila kayang gawin yung mga projects without outsourcing it, 'di ba? For
That's
example,
right.
big advertising agency which has global expertise. And when they try to do that, they must follow the procurement law. Diba? Pero kami, if we did it for them, for example, hindi naman kami expert ng government ng advertising, but if we were able to do that, let's say for Department of Tourism, to provide them with advertising services, it would be a G2G, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
ngayon, pag G2G, mas maluwag ang procurement.
Mm.
And then,
Or then,
so we are looking at those kinds of
yeah.
efficiencies, no? So, saan ko ngayon in-apply? Sa telecommunications, if you know yung connection natin, medyo walang kwenta. Kasi bakit? Normal lang, napakadami rating tao. Mataas yung penetration ng internet and telephone services na requires connectivity, no? Nahihirapan yung DICT to procure sila ng procure nitong connectivity, nitong capacity, pero mabagal. Kailangan na ngayon. So, what I did was, sabi ko, kaya ba parang, I talked to DICT, okay ba sa inyo na pumasok ako dito? Ang ginawa ko, bumili ako in bulk ng broadband connectivity sa isang Singaporean company. Tapos, I turn around and sell it to DICT for their barangay Wi-Fi project, yung sa mga government clinics, yung mga public schools. So, yun yung, tapos iniisip ko, kasi eventually magkakaubusan yan ng capacity kasi you have to send satellites and then you have to compete with other countries, di ba? Yeah. Isipin mo kung nasa bahay ka, you're trying to connect to Netflix or nagkakaroon ka ng signal, it's a Saturday night, lahat ng tao nandun sa bahay, lahat ng buong barangay mo nandun sa bahay, sumisikip yung signal, nade-delay, di ba? So, that's because finite lang yung signal. Kailangan dagdagan ng capacity, dagdagan ng speed. So, that's one of the projects I'm working at. And ang sinabi ko dun sa may-ari ng satellite company, I went to Singapore. Sabi ko, sige, pwede ba natin bulk bilhin? Sabi niya, for the next 6 years, bili ako ng bulk. Pero, murahan mo. Murahan mo. I turn around, I sell it at cheaper than market price to DICT.
Yeah.
So nakatipid ngayon yung DICT, anti-inflationary siya, no? Kung ibenta ko yun sa Smart PLDT Globe Converge at ibinaba ko yung presyo, theoretically, no, kung magbenta ako sa kanila and bumili sila sa akin at lower than market, I will require them to lower their prices, no? Kasi kasi ginagawa nila, they pass on the increased cost to the consumers. And then dapat i-pass on din nila yung savings to the consumers, di ba?
Yeah.
That's an example of how I see it. Of course, hindi pa natin nagagawa, pero that's something that the NDC can do, and we are doing it. And eventually, kasi medyo long term tayo mag-isip. Sabi ko, alam mo, mas makakamura kung atin yung satellite. Mas mabababa natin yung presyo. So I'm looking at purchasing the Philippines own satellite kasi wala na tayong satellite ngayon eh. Satellites have a 25-year lifespan, di ba? So ngayon, walang Philippine satellite na nasa taas. Yung satellite na tinitingnan nila sa US, maliit lang yun. Konti lang yung capacity nun. So I'm talking to Japan to potentially purchase for the Philippines our own satellite na Pilipinas yung mamayari. Pero saan mo ipapark yung sa taas? Kailangan ng orbital slot. So magne-negotiate din ako to lease the orbital slot. Kasi otherwise, satellite, it has to have its own orbital. So those are the things that I've been looking at. Pero since mahal yon, I talked to the Office of the President through my boss, Secretary Pascual, talk to Frederico, and ask, gaano ba sa inyo ka-importante itong ginagawa namin, yung initiative namin? Kasi kung importante sa inyo, bibigyan nyo kami ng funding.
Yeah.
To buy the satellite, to buy the ano. Ngayon, kung hindi importante sa inyo, wala na akong magagawa. Kasi konti lang yung pera ko eh.
Yeah.
I have very little money compared to DBP or Land Bank, GSIS or SSS. Kaya nga ako hindi tinignan sa Maharlika, di ba? Kasi konti lang ako, diba? Ng SSC. So sa akin, okay lang. Pero ang sa akin, nagkukusa ako to identify yung gaps na kailangan. Pero kung hindi, I realize the government has priorities. They have to spend on many things. If what I have identified is not such a priority to them, such that they will not provide funding for it, then I have two options. One is just to toe the government line and pabayaan yan at mamatay, or I can be creative. Which, sige, I only have, kunyari lang, I need 10 billion pesos for the satellite and maybe for the broadband. So ang ginagawa ko ngayon, yung 1 billion ko in land assets, ilalagay ko dun sa isang fund kasi investment banker tayo. Tapos yung fund na yon, sasabihin ko, kinapit ko na. Pasok na kayo, foreign investors. Pasok na kayo sa NDC. Ito yung gagawin ko dun sa fundraise na yan. This is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna buy. It's going to be profitable. The government of the Philippines is backing you up. So yan yung mga plano ko. But I can't do that for all the projects. I can only do that because I think kasi nahihirapan to fundraise ang government ngayon, di ba? Nahihirapan sila. So anong gusto nila gawin? Ayaw nila na yung GOCC na gusto nila yung GOCC magbigay ng pera. Ayaw nila magbigay ng tax exemption, ng incentives. Kasi mandate ng Department of Finance is to raise money, di ba? Ang mandate naman ng Department of Budget and Management is to maintain costs, to basically magtipid. 'Di ba? Yeah. So, hindi ka rin makakainin ng budget sa mga 'yon. Mahihirapan ka. At the same time, because of the procurement law and lahat ng I report to 16 government agencies. Hindi lang board ko. Civil Service, OGCC, GCG, di ba? The 5 members of my board are cabinet secretaries. Tapos susunod ka pa dun sa GAD, yung sa gender and diversity, may kailangan kang i-spend. Susunod ka sa lahat boss mo. So it's the opposite of the private sector. Yung problema, the GOCCs na hindi sila GFI, hindi sila NDC. Sanay sila eh. Pero yung problema ako, coming from the private sector, we do not have investment agility. If I was able to invest, sabihin natin, some money, a couple of billion earlier in my term, baka I could have earned 30% from that. Approval pa lang, hindi na kaya eh. So, ganun talaga. You really have to work within the framework of government, and you cannot change things naman. Well, not as an undersecretary. You just have to toe the line. But I think we've managed to accomplish much with the little that we have been given.
At least ang importante dyan is alam mo ang potential contribution ng NDC, no? Actually, the way I see it, NDC can do anything and everything as an investment bank, investment company, and in fact, wider ang flexibility nyo kumpara sa Land Bank, DBP, even GSAS and SSS, no? Dahil yung mga bangko, Land Bank and DBP, of course, they source the money from deposits, from borrowings and all that, no? And limited din ang pwede nilang gawin. Investments sila are subject to regulations, no? GSAS, ganun din, SSS, no? Whereas in the case of NDC, you can do anything and everything. Your charter is so broad. Ang problema na lang is yung pera. Yung pera. And of course, either you issue bonds or mag-create ka ng fund, no? Just like what you said. And you ask investors. In fact, dapat nga ang NDC is part of Maharlika, no? Pero although marami ring mga issues sa Maharlika, but siguro ang problema is yung although ang NDC has a super charter, if I may call it as such, no? Pero yung past record siguro sa NDC, especially nung 60s, 70s, no? Yun ang nagiging parang reminder whenever NDC is brought back to the table, no? So, how do you think ma-address yan? Dahil I think your idea is well taken, no? Ang ano lang dyan is, how do you convince now the government, the Philippine government to support you? Dahil marami rin kayong magawa kung talagang papayagan kayo at susuportahan.
Yeah, thank you, Oka, kasi it's refreshing to hear somebody who knows about NDC and its powers. Such as, this is actually the first time I've been interviewed by somebody who is very familiar with NDC and what it can do. So it's quite refreshing. So to answer your question, wala talaga tayong magagawa kung hindi tayo payagan. Ganun talaga. No?
Yeah.
Pero hindi tayo mag-give up. No? It is a challenge to... basically, it's brinkmanship eh. I am happy na hindi napapansin yung NDC sa Maharlika kasi ang daming kalaban eh. Hindi nila maintindihan eh.
Kompetensya yun?
Kasi napatawag ako sa Senate regarding Maharlika. I had to justify. Hindi naintindihan ng mga tao kaya sila against, no. Yung ibang points valid, but most it's because of misunderstanding. Hindi talaga nila naintindihan. Kung ano, what Maharlika is supposed to do. And to cut the long story short, a lot of the detractors are just using Maharlika as the Maharlika issue as as an issue to go against the administration dahil hindi nila to binoto. Di ba? Bakit pa? It can be any issue. It can be the PI sa Chacha. It can be any issue. Pero lalabanan nila because they didn't vote for this administration. Di ba? Sa akin, kung gano'n pa lang, wag na tayo mag-usap. No? Yung pero dito sa Maharlika, kasi I'm supporting Maharlika. I know and they know we exist. Pero happy ako that we are given latitude na hindi kami dinadamay dyan. Because we have our own projects. We have our own sources of funds, na potential sources of funds. And kung hindi lang kami pakikialaman, makaka-raise kami ng funds. Because we can, yung mga investors naghahanap ng paano ipapasok yung pera sa Pilipinas, hindi sila makahanap ng paano. Ito yung NDC. Diba? So ako, I'm very confident that I can source my own funds. I don't need to get money from GSIS, SMS. No? I am talking to investment banks and private equity funds and VCs who are more than happy to invest in the Philippines because believe sila doon sa Pilipinas, believe sila kay President Marcos. So, sa akin, confident ako about my sources of funds. The uses of funds are different from Maharlika. It's smaller projects. No? It's
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I
Yun ang,
have 100 projects. Hindi, that is not overlapping with NEDA. But of course, ang ginagawa ko is one Philippine government lang naman tayo. Eh. Pinapaalam ko kung itong project ko makakatulong ba, ginagawa niyo na ba to? Kasi kung hindi makakatulong to at hindi ko naman kailangan gawin at wala namang basbas sa inyo, hindi ko na gagawin. Like yung satellite, nagpapaalam talaga ako diretso kay Secretary Ivan. Secretary, okay lang, nagawin ko to ha. So, yeah, of course, okay. Hindi ginawa ko. So, yun, that's what I think. So, I think na hindi natin magagawa ng paraan kung talagang ayaw nila. But ako naman, if you have the complete staff work, pakita mo sa kanila yung numbers, pakita mo sila yung data, and how it can be pushed, then I think that that's the best that I can do.
Yeah. Ang borrowing kasi ng NDC, if I'm not mistaken, is fully guaranteed by the Philippine government, hindi ba?
That's the original intention and position. However, in the last years, all explicit sovereign guarantees have to go through the Department of Finance and then.
I see.
However, I really don't need an explicit sovereign guarantee because the NDC is 100% owned by the government. No? So there is already an implicit sovereign guarantee. Ngayon, if my counterparty insists on an explicit sovereign guarantee, ano klaseng counterparty yun? So, hindi ko na sila kakausapin. Kasi, marami namang pwedeng ibang kausapin eh. Bakit ka makikipag-usap sa mahirap kausap? Diba?
okay.
Yeah, Sel, you want to...
Follow up ko lang po dun sa Maharlika. What's the difference now of NDCA in view of the Maharlika Investment Fund? Hindi ba siya duplication yung objectives ninyo in terms of mobilizing investments?
That's correct. Duplication in terms of magre-raise ba kami ng funds? Pareho? Yes. Okay. Pupunta ba kami sa international market to raise funds? Yes. Pero magkano lang ba yung nire-raise ng Maharlika? Magkano yung nire-raise ko? Unang-una, the number one difference is size. Maliit lang kami compared to Maharlika. Okay? Meron silang 150 billion in cash right now. That's more. Diba? Ang cash ko nasa, magkano lang ang cash ko? Less than 3 billion. No? So, ang layo. Ang layo, no? So that means, number two, yung projects that we can undertake, hindi rin ganun kalaki. Okay? So maybe you may call it a duplication in the sense of what we can do, but it's not a duplication in the sense of what we are actually going to do. Because it's going to be different projects. Sa kanila, malalaki, sa amin, maliliit. Diba? Ano yung gumagawa ng maliliit? Wala nga eh. Walang gumagawa eh. Gaps nga eh. Tapos, pangatlo, kami, 1919 pa, 150 year na namin ngayon, ISO certified. Diba? Kahit na maliit kami, pag nakita ng mga potential investors, stakeholders, partners ang NDC, may ISO certification, 5 QMS, 5 quality management systems for 14 years na this year. Diba? Walang government agency na may ganon. We're the oldest government agency, 105 years old. We're older than the Republic. Nagugulat lahat pag nag-present ako, may ganito palang kumpanya. Diba? Nauna talaga ang Pilipinas versus Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand. Nauna tayo eh. Kaya ngayon, hindi natin in-exploit yon, but it's still there. The structure is still there. It is still there. So what I'm trying to do is to mobilize that. What else is the difference between Maharlika and NDC? Well, the obvious one. Sikat ang Maharlika. Under the radar ang NDC. Wala kang masasabing politika sa amin. Wala. ISO certified eh. Oh, may the general manager before me occupied the position for 16 years. Certified public accountant from the University of the Philippines. So, tama si Oka, merong mga questionable deals dati na inabsorb ng Maharlika yung mga distressed assets. Kaya nagkaroon ng bad image yung NDC. Diba? Sorry, hindi Maharlika, NDC. Nagkaroon ng bad image. But that was way back in the past. Over the past 20 years, we are now ISO certified, a good steward of the government's resources. That's what we are. And wala nang skandalo, wala nang anomalya.
Yeah.
That's long before. Diba? So tama yun before. Ano na nangyari? Well, diba? Hindi na natin. We learn from the past. No? We learn from the past mistakes. But the thing is, parang ano yan, parang yung isang subsidiary ko, yung PITC. We own 99.5% of PITC. The NDC owns 99.5% of PITC. Yung PITC, merong skandalo the other year, a couple of years ago. Nagkaroon ng skandalo, park funds, etc. Hindi na ginagamit ng government ang PITC, ng government agencies, kahit na wala yung ban. So, ano mangyayari sa PITC? Hindi siya kumikita, hindi ginagamit ng gobyerno. Pero it has the power to do so.
Yeah.
Diba? Anong nangyayari dito sa rice importation? They could have used easily, they can use PITC.
Yeah.
Ano lang gamitin? Oh.
Siguro, yeah.
Hindi ba gamit yung NFA? Oh, ang dali-dali lang gamitin ng PITC. Oh. It has the charter. It can do it. Rice importation. Hindi nila ginagamit. Wala akong magagawa doon. Diba? Wala akong magagawa doon. So sa akin, if you choose na dahil dito sa stigma, sinabi mo, hindi na natin gagamitin yung NDC o yung PITC kasi merong past na hindi maganda.
Yeah.
Sayang. Sayang yung charter, di ba? Sayang yung charter.
Yeah. Siguro, ano yun natin, Yusek, no? 1919, precisely, we were under the American rule that gusto nilang, mga Amerikano, gusto nilang magkaroon ng investment arm ang Philippine government, no? That's why NDC was established. And as I've said, super charter siya. Now, unfortunately, during martial law, nagkaroon ng mga transactions that later on turned sour, no? And lesson learned yan. Pero ang ginawa naman ng gobyerno, the government did not abolish NDC. No? Tuloy pa rin ang NDC. And ngayon, 20, 30, 40 years later, andyan ang NDC with its charter. I'm referring to the charter of NDC. And hindi madali to set up a corporate vehicle with that kind of charter. Lalo na ngayon, alam mo na, daming mga areas na ayaw pasukin, no? Or hindi na, it's not easy anymore to create a super charter now. And NDC has that, no? Andun na tayo, nagkaroon ng problema, but that does not mean na yung problema of the past should doom NDC forever. Dapat yung charter ay magagamit. Siguro ang ano ko, Yusek, number one, yung borrowing, kung may guarantee ba, now ang ano mo is not directly, expressly, but as government, 100% government-owned, siyempre, sagot na ng gobyerno yan, no? Dapat. Meron bang tax incentive sa mga borrowings ng NDC, say bonds? Meron bang benefit sa tax-wise ang mga investor?
Well, that's what Senator Sherwin Gatchalian is trying to look into now.
Okay.
No? So I went to the Senate last week dahil nga tinitingnan niya because ang gustong gawin ng Department of Finance parang tanggalin na yung halos lahat ng incentives. Di ba? Eh,
Hindi. Yeah. Ano,
alam mo kasi that's an age-old
yeah,
banggaan.
naintindihan ko. Naintindihan
Oo,
ko.
kasi ang iniisip ng Department of Finance, binibigyan namin kayo ng incentive company, 'di ba? Sayang, that's money otherwise kung tinax namin kayo sana napunta yung pera naman sa amin. Sana tinax na lang namin kayo. Ganun yung iniisip nila sa incentives. Of course, the business community, hindi ganun yung including myself, hindi ganun yung tingin ko. Ang tingin ko, kung hindi nyo binigay incentives, hindi kami papasok ng Pilipinas. Diba? So, kaya ang ginawa nila ng department, kami pala, kasi government din ako. Ang ginawa nila, gumawa sila ng fiscal incentives, review board. Na hindi naman full-time office. Sana kung ginawa nilang full-time office, binadgetan nila ng 1 billion at nag-hire sila ng maraming technocrats na sobrang full-time. Ano ba yung Fiscal Incentives Review Board? Ilan lang yung tao niyan. Tapos pumipila lahat yan, lahat ng mga IPAs, ng Investment Promotion Agency, economic zones. Bakit? I-justify nila yung incentives na nakukuha nila. Para talaga yung ipapresent mo sa gobyerno, talagang para makuha namin itong tax-free holiday, para itong libreng lupa, ito yung i-invest namin na amount, mag-hire kami ng maraming tao, magbabayad kami ng tax namin eventually, sobrang malaking multiplier effect. Sipin mo yung argument na yan, how hard it is to argue that. And then, I don't know how long, but I would assume that's thousands, even tens of thousands from applications from the different agencies of government na nakapila dyan sa Fiscal Incentives Review Board. So, ilang taon mag-iintay to get the incentives? Bago mo makuha yung incentives, pumunta ka na ng Vietnam.
Yeah.
Kausapin mo lang yung Vietnamese government, approve ka na, let's get your money. Kung ako, sasabihin ko lang, simple lang naman yung Fiscal Incentives Review Board, maganda. Yung intention, palpak. Tanggalin mo mura, reorganize it, approve mo muna lahat ng mga incentives, tapos i-review na lang. Papasukin mo muna lahat. Yung problema, parang ang dating natin, ayaw pa natin magpapasok ng investment Pinahihirapan pa natin Diba? So sa akin naman, I can see na bakit napaka emphatic ko. Kasi I came from the private sector. Hanggang ngayon, sinasabihan ako, ba't ganyan? Green lanes, Fiscal Incentives Review Board, diba? Yung pagpapautang sa mga MSMEs, parang bakit hirap na hirap tayo? Diba? So parang sabi ko, you just have to, instead of giving up, and then murahin mo na lang yung gobyerno, so you try to see what you can do to help. So yun na lang. That's my
Ano ba ang current thinking ng current finance department? Supportive din ba doon sa although of course dapat rin streamline yung incentives, no? Pero precisely how can NDC attract investors, no? Government, ka naman government agency ka. You're a creation of government, no?
Yun ang pinaka-attraction namin. Kasi nga, we are the official government corporate vehicle and investment company. So, paano ka makikipag-partner kung gusto mo mag-invest sa Pilipinas? Ang ginagawa ng mga ibang investment promotions agencies, o dito ka sa Bataan, o sa Aurora, o sa Cagayan, di ba? Punta ka dito, lupa mo, may standard factory building ka, tax holiday, capital incentives. Sige. Akin na yung pera mo, dito ka na. So, hindi sila tumatanggap ng pera. Pinapa-invest lang sila doon sa ecozone. Yung ibang promotions agencies naman, like DTI, sige na, lagyan mo yung manufacturing mo dito sa ecozone dito o makipag-partner ka dito sa Ayala, sa Aboitiz, sa San Miguel. Diba? Yun yung ginagawa nila. Ako, hindi yung ginagawa ko. Meron kang idea, sobrang ganda. Naghahanap ka ng paglalagyan ng manufacturing facility mo for this innovative idea. Meron kang pwedeng investment. kakaba-kaba yung investor mo. Bakit? Kasi new yung technology mo. Sino ba yung kapartner mo dyan? Alam mo, yung mga oligarchs, mga big corporations natin, no? Punong-puno na sa deals yan. Hindi mo na sobrang puno na nila. Hindi so pag merong mga bago, ima-match mo sila, hindi na nila kaya. Kailangan bumaba ka dun sa mga mas maliliit na kumpanya, 'di ba? Doon makipag-partner sa may capital din naman, but not as prime, not as big. So, pwede sila makipag-partner doon. Pero ano yung guarantee nila? Mas risky to, mas maliit, mas hindi kilala. Pasok ang NDC. Sige, local partner, international investor, international technology proponent, pasok kayo dito. Kapartner niyo ang NDC, Government of the Philippines. So makakaluwang na sila. Okay. Hindi na basta babagsak to kasi nandiyan na yung Philippine government via NDC. Hindi lang 'yon. Makakautang na sila sa bangko. Makaka-receive na sila ng official development aid. That's our role. We're an investment magnet. Ang laking difference niya sa PEZA, sa mga iba't ibang they cannot do what we can do. So sa akin, NDC can be the key. Kaya lang, yun nga, konti lang kaming tao ngayon. So, kung sino makahanap sa amin, edi doon na muna. We have to prioritize our projects, no? Kasi kokonti lang nga kami.
Yeah.
Sige, sir. Yung mga SME, sir, nabanggit niyo po kasi all over the country we have a very flourishing SMEs, no? Paano po makaka-access sila ng tulong from NDC and lalo na I don't know how do you do that kasi sabi niyo po konti lang kayo pero napakarami pong pwedeng tulungan ng mga investors.
Nakita ko na yung problema na yan at kinausap ko na si Secretary Fred. And then we came up with a framework and a solution. We got the parties together. We met the other week sa DTI. So ito yung plano namin. No? Ang unang-una, ang tumutulong sa mga MSMEs na pagpapautang is called the Small Business Corporation. Dati ang pangalan niya SBGFC, Small Business and Guarantee Finance Corp. No? So nagpapautang sila sa mga microfinance companies para makapagpautang directly. Tapos nag-equity investment din sila sa mga MSMEs. So the primary mandate really is with SB Corp, no? So progressive naman yung SB Corp, kaya kulang. So sabi ko, paano kaya natin gagawa ng paraan ko? Ang ginawa ko ng paraan is kinausap ko yung Cooperative Development Authority. CDA. Sabi ko ito CDA, ilang 30,000 ata yung co-ops nila. Na alam mo yung co-op system, ibahin mo yan sa banking system. Bakit? Mas maluwag ang lending. Okay? At mas garantisado ang payment. Kasi nga may moral suasion ng mga members. Ang problema, limit nila, ganun din katulad ng bangko. Kung 1 million yung capital ko, hanggang 10 million lang yung lending ko. Diba? So, ang ginawa ko, sabi ko, kailangan ng cooperative central bank. Okay? Ang nag-advise sa akin si dating Governor Obet Kanan. Merong tawag nito, merong congressman ngayon, si Odi Tariela, na merong bill sa Congress to create the cooperative Apex Bank. Yun yung basically central bank. Pag may central bank ka kasi na hindi BSP, na nagmamanage ng mga cooperatives, mas makakalend tayo ng mas maluwag sa mga MSMEs na hindi kailangan ng collateral. Doon tayo nayayari sa collateral, di ba? And the thing is, you do not have to reinvent the wheel. Some of the biggest banks in the world, in other countries, are cooperative banks. So ngayon yung sinusulong natin ngayon for the MSMEs. And then out of that, kasi wala silang fund manager, no? Pwedeng NDC yung fund manager nila. Magkikreate din ako ng MSME Venture Fund. Yung MSME Venture Fund, different yan, hindi yan lending. Nag-i-invest yan sa mga MSMEs. So yun yung plano ko, to tap on the existing network that works, yung cooperatives, and expand it. I think that has maximum impact. No?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Looks interesting. Looks interesting, although ang ano nga niyan, magkakaroon ng new regulator just to oversee, to regulate co-op banks, no? I just don't know kung ang resulta niyan would be better, no? As far as lending is concerned. It should be, pero again, ang ano diyan, yung mga prudential limits naman, USEC, prudential limits, no? Maganda ang ano, technically, sa co-op bank, medyo madali ang paghiram, pero limited ang paghiram nila doon sa kanilang contribution. No? So, in that sense, pera din nila ang hinihiram nila, no? So, pwedeng ano, pero I just don't know kung tanggalin siya sa BSP regulation would be better.
I'm not talking about retail, Oka. I'm not talking about mga individual borrowers, no, that will remain in the ambit of the BSP. I'm talking about the cooperatives and the companies, MSMEs. No, not just cooperatives na negosyo. Diba? Yung negosyo na nanghihiram.
Okay.
Hindi yung mga individuals. That is cumbersome. What we should do is enable the ecosystem for the end borrower, which is the individual, to be able to borrow more from an organization. Yung organization na yun na nagle-lend, yun yung isusupport natin. No?
Yung co-op. Yung co-op.
Yung co-op. So that's where we are. And then the MSMEs na hindi makautang sa bangko, pero pwede silang umutang dito sa MSME. Hindi makautang sa bangko. Hindi, sa SB Corp. Utang. Kasi utang yan eh. Pero kung ano naman, yung tawag nito, kung hindi naman utang, kunyari investment, diba? And then that's where the MSME Venture Fund can come in. No?
Yeah.
Kasi
go ahead.
Kasi sa akin, kung ilimit mo yung risk, meron naman talagang babagsak, malulugi ka talaga. Yun yung talaga negosyo ng investment banker. Kaya yan sa 5, yung isa na successful, wipe out na yung losses dun sa 4 na hindi successful. Ganun na. Ganun lang talaga. You know, that's how VCs make money, venture capitalists make money. Lahat ng investa nila, alam nila merong malulugi. Ganun din ako. Hindi makuha ng gobyerno yan. Gusto nila, sigurado lahat ng investment ko. Sigurado. You cannot, diba? High risk, high return, diba? Makuha. So, especially Department of Finance, they're always voting against my projects. Because hindi daw assured, hindi daw guaranteed. Sabi ko, gusto ko lang sabihin obvious na hindi kayo nagnegosyo, lahat kayong nasa gobyerno. Hindi kayo nagnegosyo. Walang guarantee Wala namang guarantee, di ba?
Yeah, wala.
So, sa NDC, it doesn't mean na mag-invest ako sa project, guaranteed na I will take a return. Malamang hindi. Sa 1 out of 5, babawiin ko yun. Diba? Yung problema, dun sa one na yon na out of 5, yung hindi ka maka-invest because tatakpan ka, may investment window Kailangan may approval ka, tapos papasok mo yung pera. You know, the project or the company cannot wait forever for your funds. Yun yung nangyayari sa gobyerno. Pinapaintay, bagsak na yung negosyo, bagsak na yung project, bagsak na yung kumpanya, hindi pa rin nakukuha ang tulong galing sa gobyerno. Diba? So sa akin, alam ko yun eh. So iniisip ko, paano makakatulong yung NDC? Ito nga yung tinitingnan natin ng mga solusyon.
Do we have that kind of mindset among the people in the Maharlika Investment Fund?
Hindi,
No?
iba ang Maharlika.
Yeah, but
Iba ang Maharlika.
Iba yung Maharlika sa DOF. But I would have to tell you, Maricel, yes. Kasi si Joel Consing is an investor. Meron yung mga small businesses. Alam niya. Alam niya. So tama yung guy na nilagay nila. He knows the risk. Oh, he knows the risk. So magagamble yan. I mean, wrong term, but I mean, you really invest yan. Mag-invest, no? Oh.
Pero ang ano ba ang Maharlika, is it a sovereign wealth fund or it's
Yes.
it's actually
The definition of a sovereign wealth fund, OCA, di ba? It's owned by the sovereign, the government of the Philippines. It's a wealth fund, meaning it's a fund that is meant to grow over time. Diba? And it's a wealth fund. So, meron akong sovereign wealth fund. It's called the Startup Venture Fund. By law, it started in 2019. I have 500 million pesos. Ilalagay ko sa mga startups. Tapos, it will grow. That's a sovereign wealth fund. I had it. That's an existing one. Pero, mabuti na lang, hindi masyadong nasilip during the Maharlika the deliberations.
Pero yung sa discussion ng sovereign wealth fund, parang dalawang klase yata siya. Yung isa yung galing sa windfall income that has not been projected to arise, no? And then pangalawa is yung for development purposes, no?
Yes. So it's a development fund and a wealth fund.
Sovereign siya, pero it's a development fund. The difference in the two lies in that sa yung true sovereign wealth fund, hindi siya pera na which otherwise would have been dedicated for services, other services or development purposes. Parang kagaya nung sa Middle East, no? Kaya sa kanila, yung sovereign wealth fund nila, hindi apektado yung mga regular funding nila, including yung development funds nila, ano? Dahil nandyan pa rin yung development fund. The reason for my asking that, Yusek, is ano ba ang investment criteria dito sa Maharlika? Will it be on yung mga number one, foreign ba or local? Number two is ano ba ito? Ito ba yung para sa development needs ng ating bansa, like airport, ports, etc., highways? Yun ang ano diyan, no? Nandun ang debate kasi sa Maharlika dahil mangyayari, nagkakaroon siya ang Maharlika will be competing with our General Appropriations Act, no? Now, you will note, please, na ang ating General Appropriations Act ngayon, mga 5 trillion na. 5 trillion, no? And then every year, lumalaki ang ating deficit, no? And then with all these problems ngayon, again, pag lumalaki ang deficit, apektado ang ating mga, again, yung standing natin in the yung debt to equity ratios, yung mga ganon ang problema. Pero anyway, at least dyan sa NDC, hindi yung debate doon sa Maharlika is not relevant, no? Dahil ang NDC is expected to invest for development. Yan ang objective sa NDC. Kaya binigyan siya ng super charter para tulong sa ating bansa sa kanyang development objectives. Anong tingin mo?
Tingin ko hindi siya mutually exclusive. Ang ang development kasi, ang development fund. For example, we're coming up with the National Development Fund. Of course, by the name and its nature, it's a national development fund. Issued by the National Development Company, yung fund, no? And we're going to be sourcing investors from abroad. But my idea for the fund as a portfolio manager is that I will allocate 60% of the fund for national development projects, 40% for alternative investments, because I have to hedge my investment. And in fact, the more opposite the nature of my alternative investment to the development projects, no, it's the better for the portfolio. So I should be able to invest that 40% outside of the country. Might help the OFWs, might not, but the point is that you are protecting the 60% investment by hedging it with another 40% investment. Again, that's just me, no. So so what we're doing is we are going to get professional fund managers to be able to manage this main fund. But that's my idea. I cannot speak for Maharlika, but sa akin kasi, for yung sinasabi mo na surplus, no? Ang government kasi, so there were several things that you mentioned. One is the surplus, another is duplication of government spending. First of all, dun sa surplus, hindi siya necessarily surplus. Yung surplus kailangan yung sovereign wealth fund. Bakit? Kasi ano ba yung purpose? Maganda kung meron surplus ka, 'di ba? Sana yung sa dating sa Malampaya na itabi natin 'yan. Para establish ng sovereign wealth fund, no, out of that surplus. Kailangan mo, para siyang alkansya, kailangan mo magtabi, set aside, na ang purpose niya is to make the money grow. Okay? Whether or not the budget of the Philippines is in surplus or not, dapat you set aside that. Bakit? Kasi iba yung purpose yan. At if you don't set that aside, the governments year in and year out will never put it aside. So kailangan niyang sovereign wealth fund. Ang example niyan is kung meron kang HMO, tapos naubusan ka ng pera, puputulin mo ba yung HMO mo? Nung tinanong ko yan, sabi nung audience dun sa ko, yes, sabi ko, yes, pero hindi dapat. Kasi next time na magkasakit ka, wala ka ng pagkukunan. Di ba? So meaning, ang HMO mo, hindi mo pinuputol yan. Kahit na luging-lugi ka na, wala ka ng pagkukunan ng pera. You're supposed, hindi mo parang insurance mo, hindi mo puputulin yan. Kasi pag may namatay ka, di ba? So ganun ba yon? Dahil wala tayong surplus, hindi na tayo magtatayo ng Maharlika Wealth Fund. That's a wrong position. Kasi this is guaranteeing the future of the country, and that's the only way for the wealth fund. And it's been done in so many countries already. So sa akin, I mean, I cannot fathom. Learned economists cannot even see that simple point. No, that we really need a wealth fund. Kasi nga, kung ihalo mo yan sa GAA, hindi gagawin yan. It will earn. Hindi will not be able to create such a fund. The second point, doon sa, is it a duplication? The function of government is to spend on developmental projects, di ba? The function of Maharlika is to invest. Is to invest in projects for a return. So iba yung mangyayari yan. So Maharlika will not invest in all of the projects of government. It will only invest in projects of government where it can see a return, even if it is still a development fund. Diba?
Pero payag ka na GSIS and SSS hindi sinama sa Maharlika investors. You agree with that?
Payag ako na isama. Kasi fund manager ako eh. Okay, dapat sinama nila. Okay? Ano ba nangyayari sa funds ng GSIS at SSS? Mabuti na lang si Vic Veloso yung head ngayon ng GSIS kasi marunong siya. 'Di ba? And okay, kung ako nag-i-insure ako, ini-insurance ko, kailan ko i-claim yung insurance ko? Pag retired na ako, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, no? Ano ngayon yung issue ng GSIS? Dapat in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, naipalaki mo yung pera para mabayaran mo yung mga pensioners. So saan mo ipapasok yung pera para mapalaki siya? Low risk, low return. High risk, high return. Yung problema sa GSIS, yung for the past decade, sinasabi sa kanila, you only put it in safe investments. Put it in safe investments. So ano yung safe investments ngayon? Is it the investment with the low return or the high return? So paano mo ngayon mapapalaki yung pera? So ano mangyayari ngayon? Both SSS and GSIS will have a problem sa actuarial nila kasi they won't be earning enough money to pay off the pensioners in the future. So ako, may investable funds ako, dapat ilagay ko yan sa higher yielding fund, that higher yielding instrument. That's Maharlika. Oh, so ngayon, hindi ko nilagay sa Maharlika. Saan ko lalagay ngayon? Punta ako sa stocks ngayon. Sino pupunta? Pupunta ako sa stocks. Ako, kunyari, GSIS ako, magte-trade ako sa stocks. Pero gobyerno ako eh. Kailangan safety. So sa safety, sasabihin, oh, you can only invest in blue chips. Blue chips. Ilan yung yield niyan for sa stock market? Dahil safe yan. Oh, sino may-ari ng blue chips? Sino may-ari ng blue chips? Di ba it's the same families that are running this country? Ang ginagawa mo, ginagamit mo yung GSIS at SSS, which is the people's money, to fund the richest families in the Philippines. Hindi ba kabalantunaan yan? Hindi ba dapat yung people's money, you put it in Maharlika Wealth Fund?
Yeah.
Medyo yeah, that deserves another session.
Sorry.
Anyway, ano na lang, no?
Kasi nag-overtime si Shine.
Yeah, nagsisinyas na si Shine na overtime na daw. Yeah, so any parting words on behalf of NDC at your end, please.
Sa akin, thank you for overtime for featuring me. I'm sure you did not expect me to be as outspoken as this, no?
No problem. No problem.
And we appreciate it.
Sa akin kasi ganito lang yan. Isa lang yung bansa natin. 'Di ba? The reason why our country is not progressing is because of our own fault. Gusto natin laging nag-aaway-away tayo. Gusto natin inaaway yung China, inaaway sarili natin, political, ganyan. But ako, I go outside the country. They only see one Philippines. They don't see the infighting. So dapat pag yung messaging natin, buo tayo, we're unified, no? And I'm glad that this administration yun yung message. Bakit ba ang hirap-hirap to just follow unity, 'di ba? As for NDC, I am choosing a message of unity. Meaning, doesn't matter kung sino yung binoto nyo. Palahat naman tayo Pilipino. What I am trying to do is to tell the Filipino people that the government is here for you and the NDC is here for you. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. Attorney, Oka.
Yeah. At the end of every episode, my role is to give my takeaway from the episode, no? And ito yung takeaway ko sa episode natin ngayon. Salamat kay Yusek Mauricio for agreeing to join us in today's episode sa Overtime. I remember ang NDC used to be one of the top GOCCs of the country for decades. In fact, NDC used to hire the best and the brightest, no? And although nagka-problema nung 70s, 80s, ang daming investments that turned sour. And of course, naapektuhan din ang ekonomiya natin, leading to the crisis of the 80s, no? But like I said, not because NDC has erred in the past that it should be condemned for its future. Dahil ang NDC still exists with a super charter. Ang challenge lang ngayon sa executive sa NDC is how to make NDC, how to make the leaders of the finance world, lalo na sa gobyerno, realize that NDC is a relevant and important partner in development. Yun lang, yung connection lang. How can NDC connect to the finance executives of the country? Now, marami yan. Yung mga financial executives, of course, finance secretary, budget, NEDA, and of course, the GOCCs, government financial institutions. NDC has a very important role to play. No other vehicle in the government has a charter similar or even close to the NDC. If you want development, you want growth and development in a sustainable way, long-term, particularly long-term, NDC is the answer. So, salamat kayo.
Thank you.
Stay
Thank you.
safe, everyone.
Thank you, Attorney Oka. And of course, Yusek, Anton, Mauricio, thank you very much for joining us. Daghang salamat, ug maayong hapon.
Thank you.